day and a quarter for you so far. It's been, for me, this is my final session, or if you count the Q&A, number 4 out of 5. I can tell you that I've never been part of this, part of an experience like this. I went to an XMPie user group a couple years ago, learned from that how great it is for peers to be learning from other peers. You know, for you guys to be learning from you guys, and between that and the stories I hear from a good friend's peer group, printing industry peer group, I felt like this user group conference would be hugely benefited by AccuZIP reps and some of you who are speaking, coming up with the topics of discussion, and then you guys filling in the blanks by sharing your experiences, sharing your tips and tricks and so forth, and then you folks learning from you folks. You guys are the ones in the industry doing the printing, have the deadlines. We just make the software and support it. So I've seen a lot of these sessions, not only my own, but some of the others, and the interaction has been phenomenal. So yeah, it's been a hell of a success. So thank you again for coming, and it's been a huge pleasure meeting all of you. Some of you I've spoken to on the phone many times over, and putting a face to a name, putting a face to a voice has been enormously, I don't even know what the word is, gratifying to me. This is what I do it for. I've been running our support department for 27 years, ever since we've had a support department. I love helping people, and that's my thing in life, is helping. And you guys have really made it worth it. So thank you again for being here. Let's roll. This is you are in the full service mailings class. Today we're going to go over how to set up AccuZIP 6 to do full service mailings. Are you guys able to hear me in the back row? Sean Black, you're able to hear me, right?
Sorry, what?
Excellent. That's a yes. So anyway, we're going to, he's been doing that all week, by the way. So we're going to look at how to set up the AccuZIP 6 program. It should be to be full service ready, and we're going to find out what to enter in the business customer gateway, to also again be ready to do full service mailings. How to find your own mailer ID in CRID. How to find CRIDs for your clients if you don't already know this stuff. How to find nonprofit authorization numbers so you don't have to contact your client who won't know their nonprofit authorization number anyway. We'll look at the mailing statement setup. I don't know why I said do the postage statement. Well, yeah, we'll view the postage statement on the dashboard, print the confirmation page, or at least look at the confirmation page, and that's about it. And we'll tie all these things together. So hopefully by the end of this session, we'll have your questions answered. If I don't answer your questions, you among you will probably answer those questions, and we'll be confident in being able to do full service mailings together. And then right after this course, Mr. Glassman back there is going to be talking about the mailer scorecard. Are you going to be covering seamless at all?
A little.
Excellent. That's more than I will. But I just want to get into the basics of these things. Okay, so what it takes to become, what it takes to do full service mailings. First of all, we're going to be able to do full service mailings on first class periodicals and standard mail or marketing mail. I never know what to call it anymore. Standard mail or marketing mail, first class cards, letters, and flats. So if we're doing those types of mailings, we can do full service mailings here. Bound print and matter. Flats as well. You'll be able to do full service mailings. Incidentally, if you didn't know that you can do bound print and matter mailings with AccuZIP 6, you already can. You don't need a module for that. All right. Let's see. So you must meet the eligibility requirements for automation and carrier route prices. You have to have an intelligent mail barcode on your mail pieces, which you probably already do. You have to have a unique serial number within those barcodes, which you already do. So as long as your mailer ID, as long as you have your mailer ID in the AccuZIP 6 program in the Intelligent Mail Setup window, and we'll go over that, then AccuZIP is automatically going to generate unique serial numbers for each of your mailings. We have a log built into AccuZIP 6 that keeps track of all the serial numbers you've ever used. And you're not burning serial numbers every time you pre-sort. You're burning serial numbers every time you advance past the print settings window of AccuZIP, either to start printing your addresses or to get ready to export your addresses. So when you get to that export setup window, that advancement is when the barcodes get generated, when the serial numbers get generated. If you have to, I want to touch on this a little bit before we move on. If I'm in this print pre-sort window, if I hit print labels, again, right now I have not generated any barcodes. Once I hit continue, that's when the barcodes get generated. Now, if I come back here, I've got the same pre-sort open, I decide to close it, open, do another pre-sort or something, come back to this exact pre-sort. That means I don't pre-sort again, I come back to this exact pre-sort, hit print labels, hit continue. It is not making barcodes again. It's not regenerating serial numbers. It's the exact same serial numbers that were in there before. So every time you hit continue, you're not generating new barcode information. As long as you have barcode information in your IM barcode and your IMB digits fields, that information will not be regenerated. All right. So now, when you do another pre-sort of your list, and then you hit print labels, that will, and advance past that, that is when your serial numbers will get regenerated. All right. Back to my presentation. Okay. So you have to have unique serial numbers in your barcodes. And incidentally, does anybody have multiple licenses of AccuZIP 6? Excellent. Would anybody like more? So to encourage you, no. So do you currently share the IM barcode serial numbers among your two licenses?
No, we have 7, and we have different serial numbers.
Oh, okay. So that's one way to do it, having different mailer IDs for each license. Some licenses, that's phenomenal. But anyway, yeah. So is that a 6-digit mailer ID or a 9-digit mailer ID?
6.
Okay, right on. So if you mail more than 10 million pieces in a year, you're eligible for a 6-digit mailer ID, which gives you a nice long 9-digit serial number, which you'll never use in you will never exhaustively use in a 45-day period. If you're mailing under 10 million a year, you're eligible for 9-digit mailer IDs, which you can have several of those things. So if you have multiple licenses, one thing you can do is have a different mailer ID associated with each license, or if the two licenses are sharing the same network, you can actually share the IM barcode serials among the two licenses. So even if you hit the continue button in the print settings window simultaneously, they still will not overlap serial numbers. There's that millisecond or that fraction of a millisecond where one set of serial numbers will be written first, and the other will be written next. So they'll never overlap. So we keep track of your unique serial numbers. We also keep track of your unique serial numbers in the Intelligent Mail trade barcodes. So if you're doing sacks or trays, we'll keep track of those trade barcodes. Those will always be unique. If you are palletizing your mail, that is an extra add-on module. But if you're palletizing your mail, we'll keep track of the serial numbers on those as well. So we barcode your tray tags, barcode your sack tags, barcode your pallet cards. You need to be part of a mailing using an approved electronic method to transmit a postage statement. Essentially, you're either going to use Postal Wizard or the Postal One application. I'm not going to show you Postal Wizard. I'm going to show you the Postal One application that you can download from the Gateway site. I think it's incredibly easy to use it, and I'm going to show you how easy it is today. So, uploading your paperwork electronically is what that means, and I'm going to show you how to do that. Okay, so all pieces must have a valid mailer ID in the Intelligent Mail barcode. We already do that for you. I'll show you where to put it in the AccuZIP program. You have to have an appropriate service type in the IMB. That means you have to have a full service type, and I'll show you that in a second as well, as far as where to get that or as how to put that in. And be part of a mailing with proper by-for identification. So we have to identify who the mailing agent is, aka you. Have to identify who you're doing this mailing for, and we'll show you how to set that up in our mailing statement setup window. Incidentally, we have a tech note on this on our website, exactly how to fill out the mailing statement in different situations. And I'm going to check. I haven't checked out yet to see if it's outdated, but we'll see. We'll see if it is. Anyway, let's see. And I'll also we'll go over a tiny bit mail anywhere and how to enter things properly if you're doing a mail anywhere situation. Okay, and continue unique barcodes for 45 days, meaning that we cannot repeat serial numbers. Your combination, and specifically the combination of mailer ID and serial number, that 15-digit number, cannot be repeated in a 45-day period. So even if you have a mailer ID and a serial number and a different zip code, or a different zip plus 4, doesn't matter, right?
It's the classic mailer ID and serial.
All three of those things, the STID.
The STID. Yeah.
STID is important as well. Thank you. I like it. Good. Okay, so those 3 elements: STID, mailer ID, serial number. Some have wondered if the zip plus 4 would trump that because it's going to be different, and the delivery point. It's not. It's got to be those elements. So, but again, you shouldn't have that. Should not have that issue unless you're mailing over 1 million pieces in a 45-day period with 1 mailer ID. Then you got troubles. Okay, so that's what we're looking at here. Let's start with the business customer gateway. Here we are. I'm going to sign in here. Now, does everybody have a gateway account already? Does anybody not have a gateway account? Excellent. You actually get the same answer on both questions. Okay. Anyway, so we're going to simply log into the business customer gateway, and I'll do that right now with my own account. All right, and to find, well, actually to do pretty much everything in here, let me first start off with the Postal One application. The application that you're going to use to upload your documentation electronically to this Postal One or this gateway system. To find that application, I would go to the Electronic Data Exchange. Now, I really can click on just about any of my favorite services, or many of my favorite services here, but I'm going to hit Electronic Data Exchange. That's really what I want here. And if you're in some other area like Postal Wizard or something, you should be able to see Electronic Data Exchange on the left side. So when we hit, or when we're in this Electronic Data Exchange section, we'll want the mail.dat support for production. All right. Some have accidentally downloaded the pre-production and have uploaded the job through pre-production. You're not going to see that on your dashboard. So nor will you with the test environment. So we're going to get the mail.dat support for production, and whether you're on a 64-bit or 32-bit machine, you choose the one that's most appropriate of those two. All right. So once you have downloaded that thing, you'll end up extracting the file. You'll end up extracting the .zip file, and that creates all your necessary files for you. Kind of looks like this. Let me go to, let's see, I have this, I believe, in my downloads folder. So folder ends up looking like this once you extract it. Once you open it up, you've got all these different files and folders. The run-mdclient.bat file, that is what you would launch. What I recommend doing is, and what I tell people to do when I train them, I would just send this thing to a desktop shortcut. Right click on this thing, do a send to, and create a desktop shortcut. Excuse me, make it nice and easily accessible for you. So there you go. So that's the application. And then when we're ready to launch the application, a lot of things open. Once we're ready to launch the application, here I just put in a little folder of mine. Just double click on the app. Gives that little DOS screen there for a second, then a few minutes later, or a few seconds later, it'll open up. This username and password thing never saves, but this is where you put in your gateway username and password information. Okay, so that's that. We're gonna come back to that in a little bit. But first, we're gonna go back to the gateway. Here we are. We're gonna go back to home here. And so finding crits for your clients or crits for yourself. Most of everything you're going to do is in this Manage Account area, this bottom option in your left-hand navigation. So I'm going to click on Manage Account. By the way, I'm not Steve on there. Scroll down here. Now, so here's my own crib. And if I want to view my mailer ID or mailer IDs, I just hit this little link here, and that will show my mailer IDs. It'll look something like this. Please don't write down my mailer ID. Incidentally, by the way, if you do copy down our cred and try to use it, we've put in a safeguard in our application to where if you put our CRID into your program and try to pre-sort, it's going to give you an error. So you can't use that. Excuse me. Excuse me. Anyway, let's see. Okay, so that's finding your own CRID, your own mailer ID. To find a customer's CRID, or to create a customer CRID, we would hit this Get CRIDs and MIDs button. Now, to find a customer's nonprofit authorization number, you would hit this little customer validation tool. I'm going to get into that one first. So I'll hit the customer validation tool here. When I select one, I can select a little nonprofit. And then to find a nonprofit authorization number, I would simply type in a CRID here of my client, hit search, and then it's going to pop up the nonprofit authorization number. I don't have a CRID for a nonprofit organization, so you're just going to have to take my word for it. All right, now, so that's how you find, there really are no other steps to that. That's how you do that. To find a CRID for a client, you hit the Get CRIDs and MIDs button. If you want to look up a CRID individually or create a CRID individually, under the CRID heading, you'll choose Individual Request. And here you're simply going to type in the address information and company name of your client, right? So type in your client's company information, your street address, you'll hit Verify Address. It'll perform a little address standardization and validation for you. And then it'll either show you what the CRID is, or if they don't already have a CRID, it's going to create a CRID for you. Yes?
If there's more than one CRID in that selection, does it matter which one you pick?
I don't think it matters which one you pick. Would you agree with that, Tom?
It pulls up all the codes, and it also lists the amount of users, so I typically would take the one with all the users. Because what happens is if you spell the company name wrong, or don't put it in exactly, it creates a new CRID. So I go after the active one.
Yeah, and the other thing is if it's a nonprofit organization, the nonprofit number will be attached to one CRID and not many. I haven't seen one. Have you seen one where a nonprofit is attached to more than one CRID?
No, it's usually the one. You can also, besides looking the CRID up, you can look up the permit number, and it'll come back and tell you who the owner is and whether it's nonprofit or not.
Perfect. Okay, very good. So you have several options there. All right. So we found the CRID for the client. We don't need their mailer ID. We just need that CRID and potentially their nonprofit authorization number. Let's get back to that screen in a bit, and that one in a bit. And we're going to AccuZIP. All right. So just getting back to my database here. So you've imported your list, you've run your address validation, you've run your NCOA move update processing. I don't even know if I mentioned a move update method in those notes. You have to have an acceptable move update method, and that means we need an ancillary service endorsement. We need to run NCOA on your list. Some move update method. If we're putting or current resident, address correction requested. If we're doing NCOA, something to that effect. We need some move update method, and I'll show you where that needs to be recorded. Now, if you run NCOA through AccuZIP 6, that NCOA information will already be tapped in to your mail.dat files. Okay, so we validated the list, we run it through NCOA. I'm going to go right into the pre-sort process. I coughed for like 3 weeks, I cannot get rid of this thing. Okay, so in the pre-sort window, we'll go ahead and I'm actually going to select my World of AccuZIP save setting. But you'll enter in your class of mail, your piece size, or hopefully select the saved piece size so you don't have to go through that again. Make sure that print barcode is checked and full service IMB rates is checked. All right, so that's the first important key and the first difference here. Make sure that full service IMB rates box is checked. Now in the intelligent mail setup window, I'll hit that thing. Under your class of mail, now in this case I'm doing standard mail, we have to make sure, first of all, your mailer ID is in there. But we have to make sure that your service type is a full service type. So here I'm just double clicking on the service type. Here I'm choosing 271 because it says full next to it. So you'll know which service type is a full service type. It has the word full. So whichever one applies to you is what you're going to choose. In this case, I want to track my mail and I want to do full service mailing at the same time, so I'm going to choose 271. But all you have to do again is double click on the service type. It gives you all your options here. Expand it so you don't have to scroll select what you want, hit OK. All right. I mentioned sharing, going off the beaten path a little bit, I mentioned the potential of, if you have multiple licenses, sharing serial numbers among the same mailer ID. Well, you can do so with this shared IM mark with serial number path. So if you are thinking about getting a new license, a second license, and if they're connected to a network, just create a folder somewhere on your network where both machines can access it, and we'll create a log in this directory storing your serial numbers that you're sharing on the same mailer ID. All right, so that's how you set up the Intelligent Mail setup window. Any questions on any of this so far? Pretty good so far? Yes?
The code you chose with the trace, is that because you were doing AccuTrace with it as well?
That's correct.
If I don't have AccuTrace, I should choose what?
I would choose, yeah, and the one I would choose, let's see, I'm going to go back to Intelligent Mail setup again. Come back in here. Let me expand this so you can see all of them again. I would typically do a no services. That's your full service option that doesn't have any IMV tracing. Okay, unless you have any of these extra ACS services. Otherwise, typically it's going to be 261 full service with no IMV tracing. Okay, here I'll do that. I'm not going. You know what? I decided I'm not going to trace my mail after. You talk me out of it. So I'll hit OK here. We'll go with 261. I'll save my changes, and now I will choose my mail drop date. April 11th sounds good. And I'll hit pre-sort. Rapidly go through the pre-sort process. Hopefully you're all familiar with this. And then it'll take me to the print pre-sort window. Now, the next important thing that you have to do before submitting your paperwork electronically, if you don't do these things and you attempt to submit your paperwork electronically, it will fail 100% of the time. So, this is what you need to do. You need to hit the print tags button, you need to hit print reports, and you need to hit print labels. And you need to go through those steps. If you don't, you will get a postal 1 error when you attempt to upload or validate. So with print tags, I want to make sure the Intelligent Mail barcode box is checked. Even if you're not intending to print tags right now, you have to advance past this screen. What I'm doing here is I'm checking the create PDF box so I can print these things later. But again, as long as I have those checked, I won't get an error with my saying that my mail.csv file doesn't have the required number of, or it doesn't have the required barcode information. So I'll hit print here. So it's not only creating a PDF of my tags that I can print later on. Here's my tags. But it's also writing to my mail.dat files. So when I pre-sorted, these mail.dat files in my pre-sort folder were already created. They're just not properly populated. They just got a little bit more populated properly by hitting the print tags. Okay. Next step is the print reports. Now it doesn't matter what order I do these in, but I'm just going to go down the line. My next step is the print reports button. The report that I need to print is the mailing statement, because this is a report that writes information to several of my mail.dat files. So I've got to have a mailing statement checked. Even if you have none of these other things checked, make sure the mailing statement is checked. All right. If we're drop shipping, 8125 is a nice idea. I'm gonna hit print here. And I'm just gonna make a PDF of this thing, but I need to make sure that these settings are correct. I'm gonna choose my save setting down here. Do all of you use this save permit information setting area? Good. 100% of you should be using that thing for your different clients. Great time saver. So, as I said, I ran through NCOA on this list. So automatically, NCOA is populated here. Automatically, my date is disabled. I cannot make that change because the system knows when I've run NCOA.
Sometimes on my software, that date field isn't filled in after I NCOA.
After NCOA. Okay, and you're not already choosing, you're not having to choose NCOA on that?
No.
But it's not filled in? Here's what happens. When you run address validation on your list, where's my list? Do some nuts and bolts here, if I can find it. Let's see. Okay, so here's the database that I had pre-sorted, the database that I had validated. This INI file here, this configuration settings file, gives me a lot of information, such as my field mapping. and my pre-sort settings. And one thing else it gives me is this LPR section. So when you're doing the NCOA and it's going through that little download process in the monitor, one of the things that it's doing is it's writing this LPR section to your database's INI file, giving us the information like when how many records we had here when you ran the NCOA. So this is what copies that thing. Let me move on here to the full service. Here's my pre-sort folder. That information from my database's INI is getting copied to my presort.ini. So the same thing, we have our field mapping, we have our pre-sort settings, our mailing statement settings, what class of mail, what piece size, where my pre-sort information is, the height, length, thickness, and weight of my piece, and so forth, but also this LPR section. Again, which was downloaded during that little downloading process when the monitor window was up. So, if this is absent, if this LPR section is absent, then you'll end up having to choose NCOA and putting in a date. So the question is, why is the thing absent? If you have moved the database to a different location, if you have renamed the file, if you've taken the file, moved it somewhere else, renamed it, that information wouldn't necessarily carry over because we're not moving the INI file as well. So at the time that you pre-sort, the INI file may have some of these elements, but it won't have the LPR section. I have seen situations where, well, in 100% of the situations, if you were to look in this presort.ini file, you would definitely not see that LPR section. You would definitely not see that LPR section in there. Why it doesn't get in there, again, those are the most common reasons. You could copy over from your database's INI, the LPR section, to this, but most likely your database's INI file doesn't have that information either. So the most common reason are because of those things or because someone forgot to run NCOA. But I have seen isolated incidents where someone has run NCOA, it's been proven that they have the NCOA results, and it still doesn't show this section didn't get written to the file. It may be because there were other pending jobs and it's waiting for other pending jobs to finish. That's a hard question to answer. I'd say the next time that thing happens to you, give us a jingle and we'll look at your pre-sort folder and just kind of trace steps back and see what happened along the way.
Does that NCO, does that have to have a date in it to send it to Postal One?
Yes. Yeah, if it doesn't have a date, then it's going to give you an error upon Postal One validation saying it needs a date. Yeah, absolutely. So that's the kind of behind the scenes of what we're doing here and how that thing gets populated. Again, if you're not running NCOA, we have these other methods here. But if you choose one of these other methods, make sure you put a date in this date box again to avoid getting an error on the Postal One validation side. Okay, so there's that. So you put in this information here. This fills in automatically if you run NCOA. You're going to put in your mailer ID here. Notice how I have nothing on the left side. No need to put anything. I wish that was like that all the time. No need to put anything on the left side. We're going to put everything in the middle and on the right. The middle column is all about you. We're putting in your mailer ID and your CRID. Okay, and that's what I've done in this case. I've actually had to borrow a friend's CRID and mailer ID because, if I put in the AccuZIP CRID in here, it will not even allow me to advance past the screen. So, anyway, put in your permit number and put in, and this should already be populated with the zip code of where your permit's held. And actually, that's an important thing. Let me go back to that pre-sort window for just a second. I always skip past this part. The zip code is important here. This is the zip code of where your permit is held. Or if you're doing a mailing for a client, you're using the customer's permit, you're putting the customer's zip code in this, the customer's permit zip code in this zip code box. If you're doing a Mail Anywhere mailing, this is your Mailing Anywhere zip code. Not your permit zip code, but the zip code of where you're dropping the mail. Okay, so you put in your Mail Anywhere zip code in this box, or your customer's zip code only if you're using the customer's permit. Otherwise, you're putting in your permit zip code in that box. Okay, and then let's see, going back to my pre-sort window here, back to my statements. Okay, so we've got our move update method. We're good there. Mailer ID, CRID, that's your information here. your permit or the client's permit here, this zip code should relate to the permit. Whether you're doing a mailing anywhere, whether you're doing it as a mailing dropping off at your location, whether it's your permit, whether it's a customer's permit, this zip code here should relate to that permit. Okay? The customer's credit, mail owner's credit is going to go over here on the right side. The customer's nonprofit authorization number will go here. Not over here, over here. Okay? So customer's nonprofit is right there. Save that setting for later use, and then we hit continue. And again, all this information as I hit continue is being written to my mail.net files.
You previously said that you're actually not required to populate some of that if it's 5,000 or less pieces?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, I mean, is it 5,000? I thought was it 5,000 or 10,000, Tom? Where you can have. Where you don't. Oh, I see. I see what you're saying. When you're not required to fill in the, when you're not required to fill in the mail owner cred.
Does that mean you could use yours there and not have to go round up one for our client if they have less than 5,000 pieces?
That's correct. Yeah, you can put yours there and you'll still pass validation and the upload. That's perfectly fine. The magic number of, I was actually thinking that when you don't need to have unique serials.
Jackpotting would be at 5,000 records.
5,000.
Right, but you should always have a 5-4, which means you should always have the mail owner's ID pyramid in there. And there's lots of reasons for it. So it shouldn't be made up or someone else's, or you gotta have an accurate number in there.
Will you be covering that one in your will that be part of your?
There's only so much stuff I can.
Yeah, no kidding. But yeah, absolutely. And we saw that it doesn't take a whole lot to find that information or to create it. So yeah, there you go. And Tom, you had mentioned I think yesterday keeping an Excel log of all your clients' creds.
Standard practice we had at Wyoming Direct or at TAD was the customer service looks up the cribs, and we had a standard Excel sheet that was on SharePoint that everyone could access. So that way data could see it, but data didn't have to go searching for it.
It's fantastic time saver. Very good. All right, so I'm going to hit continue out of this. Are there any other questions about the mailing statement setup window? The most important window in full service mailings? No? Okay, good. So I hit continue. It's going to populate some more of my mail.dat files. Did I hit that? Good. The mail.npa, SEG, and so forth. We'll go through that little process, and then when this is finished, the final button. What am I doing on time? Oh my God. Sorry. What wait a minute. Do we go to 10:30? Maybe go to 10:30, right? I go to 10:30. We're fine. We're good on time. Sorry. It's not 10 o'clock. Anyway. I have panic issues. All right. Final button is the print labels button. Whether we are printing addresses directly out of AccuZIP or exporting out of AccuZIP, gotta hit print labels because we have to write intelligent mail barcode information to the mail.pvc file. So we do that by advancing past this print settings window, which you'll see for probably the 5th time already in this session. So hit that. It's right in here, right into my mail.dat files, and that's pretty much it. Whether you're exporting or not, whether you're going to export now or export later or print now, it doesn't really matter. I've already done what I needed to do. So now I'm ready to upload my documentation to Postal One. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this pre-sort path, because a lot of times if you're doing a lot of different pre-sorts, maybe you forget to name the pre-sort folder, or you don't put a lot of emphasis excuse me, on naming the pre-sort folder. Might be hard to find the correct pre-sort folder, especially if you've done several pre-sorts on the same list. So I like to click on the pre-sort path and then make a copy of that path. Here, right click, copy. There we go. So my next thing I'm going to do, because I'm going to need that for the postal application. So now I know where I've, let's see, that's that. Now I know where my pre-sort folder is located. Okay, actually, the thing I want now is in here. So here's my Postal One application. I'm going to launch that with a double click on that shortcut. And while that comes up, I'm just going to, I'm actually going to copy, I don't know why I copied that path first. I don't have my password or username memorized, so I'm going to copy my password here. I've got a little bat file that makes a copy of my password, so then I can just paste it in here. Instantly, if anybody wants to know how to do that, feel free to give me your business card afterward, and I'll show you how I go ahead and accomplish this. So I'm double clicking on username and password. As you know, you only get a few whacks at this before it locks you out for 24 hours, and you got to call the Postal One customer service help desk to get them to unlock it. So I'm going to sign in. Obviously, that's not me. That is a very good friend of mine who was nice enough to give me her information. Otherwise, we would not be able to do this exercise. All right, so we've launched the Postal One app. A lot of business going on in this screen, but the only thing I need to concern myself with is this job validation upload button. Okay, that's it. So I'm going to hit this job validation upload button. I'm going to go to Add Jobs, the only link that's on this thing. I'm going to hit Add Jobs. Now, so I don't know where my pre-sort folder is. You missed a lot of really good stuff. So I don't know where my pre-sort folder is, so I'm going to copy that path. And I'm going to come back to the Postal One application. I'm going to paste that path right in here. I was already in the right place. That would have looked a lot more impressive if I was in a different directory. I'm going to select the only file that's listed there, the mail.header file. And I'm going to do a little error check first. So I'm not going to upload it yet. I'm first going to do an error check on this thing so I don't have to remove it from the dashboards should there be problems. So I'm going to do a just validate at this point and then hit validate. God willing, this is going to say validate completed. Although if this session is anything like my previous two sessions, I'll have a failure notice. But if I do have a failure notice, I'll know exactly what the matter is here. And incidentally, if you have a failure notice, feel free to call our support staff. Every member, oh thank God, every member of our support staff is very well versed in handling the message of validate failed. We have a PDF reference right on our desktops showing every error that you possibly get and a description of what the error is, but the errors are fairly common, so usually on that phone call we can tell you exactly what the problem is. You didn't hit your tags button, you forgot to advance past tags or something like that. It's usually something pretty simple. A permit and zip code mismatch. Those are the more common ones.
Is that document on the form anywhere?
What's that?
Is that document on the form anywhere?
Is that document on the forum anywhere? I believe I have a tutorial video on full service mailings. So there is that. I can't think if I've written a tech note on this before.
I just read the errors document.
Oh, is the errors document?
Yeah.
Yes. Gosh, what do I look up? I could actually, if you let me know after the session, I'll be happy to send you a link to that thing. Yeah, I'll be happy to do that for you. But just him. No, I'm kidding. Anyway, so our next step, once the validation is completed, we're going to actually upload the job to Postal One. And since this is not my account, I'm going to delete it off the dashboard as quickly as possible for the notice. Now, so I'm going to hit the job validate upload again. I'm going to hit add jobs again. And it always puts me in the correct folder the second time, so I'm going to select that file, that mail.header file again. And this time I'm going to do an upload after validation. I'll accept the agreement. Again, I won't read it because I trust the Postal Service. And it goes through, once again, it goes through the validation process. While it's doing that, I need to fish for that.
That's a mistake.
What's that? Not reading the...
No, trusting the Postal Service.
I'm a very trusting person. Let's see. Okay, so that's still going on. I had, let's see. Where did I put that? Ooh, I think I put that in my World of AccuZIP folder. I need to get the, I want to show you next the confirmation page. There you go. I want to show you the confirmation page. And the dashboard management statement. Let's see, full service. What's that? Oh, here's where I put it. Yeah, but I have a username and password here. I forget where I put that in. Okay, Hopefully I have it up here. Let's see. Okay, so the upload is completed. I successfully uploaded the job because I followed my own instructions. And now I'm going to go to the Postal One site. I don't want to use that browser. So I'm going to actually go back to, I don't need this thing anymore. I'm going to close the application here. I'm going to go back to my browser. Let's see, here. And let me see if I saved that setting. Closing my eyes. Can't, yeah, okay. I saved it somewhere. I don't have it. Have you, and not all of you have seen the confirmation page, right? I'm not going to get out of this. All right. Give me 1 second here. I believe, I know I saved it somewhere. I know it's in the text file somewhere. And I thought, let's see, guess where's in there? And it isn't. I don't know where else it would be. No, I don't have the slides idea where I put that username and password. So, sorry about that. Yeah, what's that? Well, that's not going to help me because I actually need the I need the password for this one for what I uploaded.
Is that not the same as the one you logged into the gateway? You had it in a little copy script?
Oh, wait a minute. It was. That's right. I didn't use my. You're so smart. Thank you. That's right. I always use my AccuZIP one or a customer's one if I'm walking through there. But you're absolutely right. That's exactly what I did. I copied it to my back file. What would I do without it? All right. My password is here. So I'll put that in here. Well, that's terribly uncomfortable. I'm going to put this right here. Sign in.
Just make the boat work next time.
What's that?
Just make the boat work.
Anyway, let's look at the confirmation page. Confirmation page, or the mailing statement is on the dashboard. We're going to get the confirmation page that we need, that we're going to take with us to the post office through the dashboard and through the mailing statement. So I'm going to hit the dashboard button on my favorite services. You get there a variety of different ways, but I'm going to hit that from favorite services. I'm going to do a little search here. Now back here in AccuZIP, it shows my job ID. And when you pre-sort, we always make a unique job ID. I would say be careful if you're making your own job IDs, be a little bit careful of that. And if you're going to make your own job ID, try to make that thing at least 8 characters and make it pretty unique. I've seen situations where people will make their own job ID for a mailing. They'll make it 5 characters. They'll keep numbers out of it, so it'll only be letters, and then that'll end up causing some problems for them because somebody else out there in the world has also around the same time created the exact same job ID. So be careful of that. AccuZIP during the pre-sort process automatically creates a unique job ID, and that's what this one is right here. Okay, but going back to the gateway, here is that same job ID that we just uploaded. I'm going to click on the postage statement. Do I need to click hard? There it is. Okay, and so here's the mailing statement information. My confirmation page is right here. And again, I'm doing a full service mailing. I don't need to take qualification report and cash report and all these things to the post office. I just need to take, or I recommend you take the confirmation page. You can get away with not taking it, but I recommend taking it with your mailing. I'm going to hit the printer-friendly version so I can print this thing out. I will not physically be printing this thing out, but you'll get the idea. So that's how I recommend going about this. Here's your confirmation page. Here is your scan acceptance barcode. So you're going to scan this thing, you'll drop your mailing, and that is about it. Anything you would add to that one, Tom?
Nope.
To any of these things? Good. Yeah, it's pretty.
You should show that magic deal about creating your cancel and delete right out of the window there. So we didn't know that for a long time, but that was genius. So.
Thank you. And that was actually going to be my next thing.
Yeah.
Okay, so what he's talking about is I'm on the mailing statement here. Let's go back. Let's go back here to dashboard where I find my mailing statement. We'll do a little search. And I see this thing here. So AccuZIP provides a way for you to remove this thing if we don't do a cancel job and go through that rigmarole. Okay, so I'm actually going to remove this job from within using the AccuZIP 6 program. Okay, so first of all, I'll minimize that thing. I'm going to hit in the print pre-sort window for this specific job. I'm going to hit this cancel and delete button. Probably always wondering what that button is for, but been too afraid to hit it. Now we're going to hit it. So this is going to make a couple of files. It's going to make a cancel file. I'll hit OK, and then it's going to make a delete file. We don't want to upload both at the same time. It is physically possible to upload both at the same time. Please don't do it. You will not get the desired results. So back in here, I've created my cancel and delete files. Now I'm going to upload each individually. So let me once again copy the username. Copy the password. Log it in.
You can actually have jobs that get in there sort of in limbo where you can't cancel them from the dashboard. You have to use this to get them out of there unless you want to recreate your thing and give it a new number because that's already held up.
Exactly. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and there have been situations where I've gone into people's folders and created new job IDs for them, even when this thing didn't work too well. So I'm going to go back to the job validation. Again, the only button I need to concern myself with is the job validation upload button. So I'm going to hit job validation upload, hit the add jobs once again. Let me paste in that path. Oops, okay.
That's the password.
That's the password, thank you. Then we go back to, I only have 5 minutes left, so I can only make so many mistakes. Let's copy this path one more time. Here we go. So the first one I'm going to upload is the cancel file. It's hard to remember which one to upload first, go alphabetical order. So cancel file first, and then we're going to do the delete. I'm going to do an upload after validation. I don't need to do the just validate job when I'm uploading a cancel file and a delete file. So I'll hit the validate button here, or the upload button, accept the agreement, after I thoroughly read that information. Once the cancel is done, I'm going to go right in and upload the delete option.
Eric, I have never used those to cancel and delete. Is there a particular reason to do it? I just go on the dashboard and I say cancel.
Yes. So when you reverse a job, which is cancel, it leaves the breadcrumbs behind for about 3 hours. So if you're going to upload the job again, what will happen is you'll end up with duplicate skid flags and duplicate freight tags. And it'll come back and say you get duplicates in your file.
Okay.
So that's why you'll always go through this process. And the next step would be the delete, which pulls all the breadcrumbs down. So that's the only reason. If you wait for them 3 hours, it should clear itself through the postal one system.
Are you not going to get a error from a duplicate job ID if you cancel and delete though?
No. If you do this process, no, you will not get a duplicate job ID.
Okay.
No. Yeah, so I'll hit the add jobs, I'll select the delete now. Again, upload after validation, validate and upload, accept agreement. And yeah, right after this, so let's say we have a situation where we need to change the mail date. We have a situation where, well, anything. Yes, go ahead.
You can change the mail date on the dashboard now.
Well, I'll give a better example. I'll give a different, some sort of a different example. If I've screwed up anything in the mailing statement setup window, where I need to upload the thing again, or any change. If I want to change weight, or if I want to change credit, or something.
If you put the wrong zip code in there and it matched to the wrong permit, you realize you're pulling it out as the wrong permit, or you've entered in 5-4 errors that you realize after you get them up there and you need to really redo everything.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. Because some of that stuff will be caught before you can even get there. You'll get an error here. But yeah, there are some things that you can skate by until you realize that, yeah, you're absolutely right. But yeah, so right now at this point, so I've uploaded the cancel, I've uploaded the delete. At this point, I can make my changes back in AccuZIP, whatever I need to change, add jobs, select the updated mail.dat header file, validate it again. Now, if that job ID was still was something that was still uploaded, it would give me an error here that tells me I have a duplicate job ID, but in this case I don't. And if I go back to here, well, I'm not going to be able to refresh this page, I'm sure. So I'll try to go back to, with my waning minutes here of this presentation, I'll go back to dashboard, do another search, and it's disappeared. It's like magic. Anyway, thank you very much. Do you, are there any, don't get up there. Are there any questions? Okay. Are there any, yes, go ahead.
On the confirmation page, I notice there's a spot where you have 1-foot trays, 2-foot trays, EMMs, pallets. And my BMEU in Omaha wants me to put how many pallets I'm bringing down to the BMEU, which I thought that was used for if you have the pallet module.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure if that's just an Omaha BMU thing that they want.
You're presenting the mail on pallets in that case?
But it's not giving me pallet rates per se. I'm just taking it down there on a pallet.
If you're presenting on pallets, they want to see that thing on pallets. I imagine they also want to see, if you put it on pallets, I imagine they want to see barcode pallet cards at that point as well, right?
Yeah.
So in order to get that, you have to perform something called pallet preparation, which means you have to pre-sort with pallets. The pallet preparation whole part of it isn't just sticking trays on a random pallet. It's actually going through a pallet preparation process, pallet sortation, proper pallet levels of pre-sort. So yeah, to get adequate pallet cards with barcodes, you go through the whole rigmarole, you need the palletization module. You have no way around that. All right. Thank you everybody again for attending this class. Greatly appreciate it.